we can all think of various people inside government who are going to vote against this, regardless of how you dress it up, surely. I mean, you're bound to be aware, obviously, that could be the case. It's not going to go smoothly, is it?
No, I don't think it's reasonable or sensible to accept that it's going to be plain sailing. I think if you're trying to do as much as we're trying to do, and we're doing it because we have to, this isn't a matter of choice, then of course there's going to be a range of opinions, and it's important that we're very cognizant of what those views are, try to embrace them wherever we can, but hopefully get a majority decision on these issues as we face them individually into the next year.
A question for you on how are we linked with the UK? I mean, certainly we seem to go along with a lot of things, just as they do it, we do it. Can you break that cycle at all? Can you opt out of a system that they can keep paying child benefit and we don't, for instance?
Well, yes. I mean, there are areas where we can deviate from their norm, and they themselves are beginning to do things that we've got to think about very carefully and watch what they're doing. For example, they're now trying to address the whole issue of the general pension for the elderly, and I think they've got an enormous task on achieving that, and we've got to watch carefully what they're doing. But to specifically try and answer your question, we can deviate. We will always have, I believe, a reciprocal agreement with the UK. It may, in time, need to be varied, but it'll always be there. And I think as time goes on, there will be a tendency for us to adopt more policies refined and defined for our particular need, whilst retaining that understanding with the UK.
A lot of pensioners will be worried. And there is a Manx supplement for living on the Isle of Man to take into account the higher cost of living. Is that completely protected?
Well, I think I did produce a press release a few weeks ago saying for the next few years there is going to be no focus on this. We're just going to carry on because we want to see what happens in the UK when they try to assemble this, what they currently call the £140 standard pension, which they believe will translate into about £160 when it comes in, with inflation taken into account. But I think there's a lot of questions around that as to how it will actually pan out for certain individuals and when and whether or not it will actually be seen to be fair. So I think we're in a wait-and-see mode there. But to, again, come back to your point, if it eventually does come in, we've then got to see how that impacts on us here and how we would relate that to what we do, making sure that we satisfied our pensioners, that we were being utterly fair with them. So I think, there's the jury's out in the UK.
So is it protected or is it not protected?
What?
That money, the extra money that Isle of Man pensioners get. Are you saying you're not going to look at altering the arrangements, that will still be paid?
Well, the difference between the UK and us is that our supplement effectively is funded from a significant reserve. The UK hasn't got that. We will want to always protect that fund in order that we can provide a supplement.
Is it protected?
It's protected endlessly. I cannot honestly say to you hand on heart, it will always be there in a particular form that it is now. It will possibly, and we don't know yet, possibly in time be amended somewhat, and I don't know how yet, but the concept of having a fund to provide support for the supplement is there, and we will do everything in our power to protect it and make sure going forward it remains in place.
Finally, everyone's got budgets and you're no doubt working on yours already. Do you know roughly even where the cuts will have to be in the sense of money-wise? Do you know how much you'll have to save on the next round, or are you still okay for your budgets?
Well, there's a hot and cold on this one for us, really, because if you look at the last budget, we had to make cuts, but we still got a 5% increase. So you can see how much of an increase we would have had if we didn't make any cuts at all. That just shows you how enormous the growth in our demand services are and the cost of them.
I mean, my point here is at the end of the day, you've got to go forward at some point with a new target to hit on your money you're spending, regardless of all the consultation that's going on now, you must be looking at ways you are cutting in other places.
Yes, but this is where we come back to this whole debate. What we're forming is policies born out of principles which we're discussing with the electorate, so that if we succeed, and should I say when we succeed, the result will be that we significantly slow down the growth of expansion in our budget. At the moment, the growth is exponential. I hate using the word out of control, but the growth is a profound worry. If we can bring that growth in our budget down to usable and controllable levels, then we have succeeded. Because don't forget, I mean, our budget is the biggest in government. It's very, very significant, and even a small increase in our budget reflected in the overall government budget is a significant portion.